Good evening. I'm your host and newscaster, Dr. Doom, with the 11 o'clock Eastern Time nightly news. First on the agenda, foreclosure sales surpass conventional sales in Tampa Bay area. For maybe the first time ever, sales of foreclosed homes in the Tampa Bay area have exceeded traditional sales. With thousands more foreclosures in the pipeline, home prices will continue to fall. Peter Murphy, president of Tampa's Home Encounter, a full-service real estate firm, expects the median sales price to drop another 25% before hitting bottom in the Bay Area. Foreclosures and short sales, he said, will drive the market in 2011. Well, Peter Murphy, I appreciate the doom you just threw at me. 25% more to come of price drops. And I can't wait. Because I can't wait to contact my sister. Yeah, though. Andrea, listen. Remember when I told you credit card payments aren't going to matter in the near future? Credit scores aren't going to matter. House prices are going to plummet. And you said, no, you're not, it was all these people's fault who took out equity lines of credit on their houses, and they shouldn't have done that. And, nobody said life was fair. That's your favorite line. Nobody said life is fair. You got that money, you got to pay it back. And I can't wait to say, listen, bozo. What do you owe on your house now? Without any equity line of credit, without any kind of refinancing? Yeah, listen. Have you been to Zillow.com lately? No? Good. Why don't you go there and punch in your physical address to your house and see what the median prices of houses all around you, including your house, because it'll be listed too. How's that working out for you? You didn't get that equity line, right? You did the smart thing. You did the right thing. How did doing the right thing work out for you? Yeah, listen. Peter Murphy called, president of Tampa's Home Encounter. Yeah, listen. He says whatever the price is right now, which just made you throw up, yeah, don't worry about that. They're going down another 25%. Yeah, sorry about that. But I got a little message for Peter Murphy, too. It's not just going to go down 25%. It's not going to stop there. Yes, as you said, foreclosures and short sales will drive the market in 2011. And probably 2012, too. And probably 2013 also, and probably 2014 also, because I'm pretty sure Peter Murphy doesn't know anything about the WebBot or Mr. 100% Accuracy, Lindsey Williams. And if we're going to see oil, going to $200+ a barrel by the end of the next 2 years, you know what that's going to do to the prices of everything? Do you think house prices are going to be good when that happens? People aren't going to have any money for anything, for God's sakes. So you certainly couldn't sell your house for some kind of elevated value. I mean, let's be real here. So 25%, I appreciate the doom. It did give me a little bit of a doom high. Not enough. Just like a little sugar high. I was childish. So I need more doom than that, Peter Murphy. But I appreciate your try. So foreclosure sales, for the first time ever, according to him, have surpassed conventional sales. So if you were my sister, didn't get an equity line of credit, been paying down my house, making a few extra payments even, doing the right thing, can't sell your house. You're stuck. Why? Because you have foreclosures and short sales so drastically lower price than your house, no one in their right mind would be a bozo and buy your house. Because you got all the foreclosures in your neighborhood that are way cheaper. So you're stuck in your house as a prisoner, but keep making that payment. Keep making that payment. 1-800-creditscore.com, right? Play and cue the commercial. The guy with the guitar playing his little credit report. Get that credit report. Freecreditreport.com. Tell your friends and your sister and your mom. Yeah. Pretty sure I don't give a rat's ass about my credit report anymore. And the rest of humanity who might care right now are fixing to find out that really they don't care. There's a lot more pressing concerns going on in the world that are going to grab your attention away from your credit score. and away from paying your house payment, because you're going to stop paying that sooner or later, much more sooner than later, because you're not going to be able to afford the food, the gas, etc., etc. So even if you had all the greatest intentions in mind and wanted to do the right thing, like my sister, along comes reality, punches your mouth loose, and tells you you can't afford to make your mortgage payment anymore because you can't afford to pay for gas to take your ass to work. What's it going to be? Well, I guess I'm going to have to stop paying my mortgage payment, obviously. So, appreciate the doom, Peter. I'm about to say Charlie Murphy. Charlie Murphy! Peter Murphy. So, something I heard today, it's been going on for the last couple of weeks. I heard another news clipping of it today on the way to work. State courts declare financial emergency. And this is actually from a couple weeks ago, but it's still relevant right now. A dramatic drop in mortgage foreclosures being filed in Florida has plunged the state's courts into a financial emergency that could jeopardize operations in every courtroom. Supreme Court Justice Charles T. Kennedy kind of reminds me of that guy from Smoking the Bandit, Buford T. Justice. Supreme Court Chief Justice Charles T. Kennedy, in letters to Governor Rick Scott and legislative budget leaders, has asked to borrow $72.3 million from other state funds to keep courts operating through the current budget year that ends June 30th. The problem arises just as lawmakers work to fill a $3.7 billion deficit in next year's budget, and amid some of the worst relations ever between the three branches of state government. Read the whole story here. Here's another piece. Governor Rick Scott approves $14 million transfer to help courts, but not the loan request. Governor Rick Scott has refused to approve a loan Florida courts need to keep operating through the end of June. In a letter, again, Mr. Buford T. Justice, Charles T. Kennedy, on Tuesday, Scott said he would approve the transfer of $14 million in a trust fund from court-related funds in hopes of keeping the courts going through April, but wants more time to study a request for a $28 million loan from other state funds. In a letter written by Scott's budget director, Jerry L. McDaniel, the governor's office said the delay in approving the court's request will provide the governor's office an opportunity to better understand the factors that led to this deficit, which I appreciate. I do. Good thing he's looking at it, because I too would like to know, how did this deficit come about? It's not like massive foreclosures have been funding the entire court operations throughout Florida for the past 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, 100 years. So why now is the declining of foreclosure filings in recent times now leading to these courts having big red fat deficits? Now, there's so much foreclosed real estate out there. I mean, they've got years worth of inventory. I mean, years and years. Even if another single foreclosure case was never filed again in the state of Florida, in many other states, they've got so much out there to put on the market, including stuff that you don't even know exists yet, that doesn't have a for sale sign in it. It's just an empty property or empty house that they haven't even started the process on. We've got years of that. So what's been happening somehow is that every time these banks would file a foreclosure in the court system, they got to pay for that filing. They got to pay the lawyer, because they're not doing it. They're hiring a lawyer, a law firm, who specializes in that or whatever. Pump and dump. Boom, 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 boom. We know these bozos aren't going to reply to the complaint, the lawsuit, foreclosure, whatever, and we're going to just get all these houses. And for the most part, they're right. People don't fight it. Except me, when the time comes for me, if I have to do that. I will be fighting it if that time ever comes. So, that's beside the point, really. But they've been, I guess, banking on this money, relying on this money of banks coming to them, hey, we need to foreclose, we need to foreclose, we need to foreclose, thousands and thousands and thousands of foreclosures coming in. That's feeding and paying the court system. It's keeping it alive. Now that banks have realized we've got so much property already foreclosed, we can't do nothing with it, because if we put it all on the market, we will really severely collapse the prices, which will shoot ourselves in the foot, because even if we short sale something, we'll have to short sale it for even less. You know, so they're stuck they're in a pinch too. So they've decided, let's settle way down on foreclosure filings. We're just going to do a little bit now. And now the court system saying, hey, wait a minute, I thought we had a little relationship. We were living kind of large over here. It's pretty nice. Had plenty of money, could pay all of our guys their huge salaries, judges, bring a bunch of extra judges in, because in Tampa they had to bring 2 full-time retired judges back in to deal with nothing but foreclosures, because so many foreclosures were being filed, and people were also starting to fight. So for the judge to see them and or hear the cases, the courts were completely swamped. So they hired a judge. Told me this, by the way. Judge Dick Greco told me this personally, and he said they're just swamped. He's like, those at the end of the courtroom, at the end of the aisle, is 2, courtrooms or whatever that aren't really courtrooms, but they're being turned into courtrooms for these specific judges to do nothing but foreclosure cases all day long. They came out of retirement to do this because so many. And he explained to me that, and this was just for credit cards, I think he was saying, he's like, if we had the number of defaults on mortgages right now that we do of credit cards, I don't even know how long it would take to process a foreclosure in court. I mean, it'd be years and years and years. That's how many credit card court cases are coming through. He said, now having said that, we're still getting a large amount of foreclosures coming in. I think he said it was somewhere around 20-something thousand for 2009. And he said, well, let's just think about this. If it takes, I forgot what the time frame he said was, but, he's like, if we can only process 4,000, maybe 5,000 of these cases per year, that's the maximum we can handle, and there's 20,000 of them, that's several years out, but before they all even come through the court system. Then you got someone like Dr. Doom, who's smart enough to study the law, what the banks have done, what these mortgage lenders have done, fraud, and even if it's not fraud on that, it's fraud over here, and if it's not fraud over here, it's fraud over there, or it's all of the above, which is pretty much the case with most people. So I would be one of the ones who stand up and say, oh, now that it's been years that you 2-3 years, and you can finally see me, you finally are able to process me, yeah, I'm gonna file an answer to the complaint, and now I'm gonna fight it, and I'm gonna hire my little lawyer buddy to fight this, and it's gonna drag it out another 2+ years, probably longer. And I'd be curious to see how it ends, because there really is fraud going on. I've done my own research on my own documents and found out that I am a victim too. So when most people are victims to this, you have to ask them, why are you still paying your mortgage if that's the case? Because if you won the lottery today and went to say, hey, Bank of America or Citigroup or Wells Fargo, listen, I've got the money, I've got the funds to pay off my house, I just won the lottery. It's a great day. Love and life. They're not legally able to give you the note signed properly all the way down the chain of title, or which they call that. The first time the note was created, the first person who, first bank that had the note, then they signed out, they're supposed to physically sign the note, we sold it off to this company. They grab it, they have to physically sign the note, we sold it off to this company or this group, etc. And you're finding over and over and over again that nobody signed it like ever. Maybe the first person when it was first created. That's it. So all these banks and financial institutions have had their hands on it. They've bundled it, resold it, packaged it, resold that, threw it up, swallowed it again, packaged that, and sold it. And nobody signed it. So no one knows who the real owner really is. Therefore, how is your bank, who's the last one holding the paper, legally allowed to hand you a signed, true and signed document that says this is your house? They won't be able to, technically. So maybe they're thinking, well, we got 30-year mortgages. By the time this all comes out, these stupid sheeple aren't even going to know about it. We'll be long gone, sold off, whatever. And even if the person pays off their mortgage the whole time, by the time that they get it paid off 30 years from now, they won't legally be allowed to collect the note. Although you probably could fight it in court and then say, well, here's proof that I've been paying somebody, and they were part of this process, and I'm sure the court would probably side with you, I think. But is it worth hoping? No. Because all it takes is another company to say, hey, wait a minute, we were the last person to sign that note, not these last 3 people after us. We're legally the ones who should have been collecting those payments that you've been making to Bank of America. So Bank of America can't legally give you that note free and clear now that you've paid it off. Bank of America needs to pay us that money you've been paying them over the last 20 plus years or 30 years. Right? This could lead to just disastrous consequences. I mean, this is just a scenario. So, this is just absolutely nuts. And, again, why is it taking foreclosures to keep the Florida court system up and going? Why is it taking foreclosures to do that? It didn't take that foreclosures before, so why now? What the hell's going on? And to be honest with you, I hope Rick Scott comes to the conclusion, we don't have any extra money anywhere. Sorry, court system, you're going to have to F off, I guess. Make do with what you got. You're going to have to fire a bunch of people. And the one courthouse in St. Pete, which is fairly close to me, which is the one that I heard on the news this morning, was saying if they can't get a $50 million loan here shortly, they're going to, by like next week or next couple of weeks or something, they're going to have to immediately fire 15 people. I start thinking, that may not be a bad idea. Because then when the banks want to file a lawsuit on you, or your credit card company wants to file a lawsuit on you to collect that credit card that they gave you for free out of thin air anyways to begin with, by fractional reserve banking, money out of nothing, good. Because then the court may tell them, listen, we know you filed this lawsuit. It's going to be like 4 years before we can process this. Get in line. And then you know what's beautiful about that? There's laws in Florida, and in every state for the most part, known as the statute of limitations. And most credit card debt in most states is between 3 and 4 years. So if you don't get served a lawsuit from whatever your state is, 3 or 4 years, let's say 4 years, I think that's the average. If they don't serve you a lawsuit, in other words, if you decided on January 1st, 2008, I'm not paying that credit card anymore. From that day forward that you did not make any payments, 4 years after that, to the date, to the T, 2012, January 1st, they can't do anything. And if they try to sue you, which they can, and you'll get served, by a sheriff's deputy or whatever, or a process server, they will serve you that lawsuit, complaint. But you have to know the law, and bear with me, Dr. Doom's trying to help you out here. You could reply back to the complaint, motion to dismiss. I don't know if it would be failure to state a cause of action or whatever, but it would be basically motion to dismiss. Statute of limitations has expired. See Florida law such and such, and you can go find it online. And the judge will get that back. Probably, I don't even know if he'd call a hearing or not. He may. And grant you case dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can't ever bring the case back up. Have a nice day. The same can happen, at least in Florida, because we are a judicial state when it comes to foreclosures, which means you can fight it in court. The same could apply to a foreclosure, I think, too. Statute of limitations. So you can see where this might be a good thing. And this would be a way that the banks can't do anything about it. They can't pay off any politician. They can't do anything besides sit back and suck it up, just like the rest of us. That would be pretty awesome, to tell you the truth. But what about hardcore criminals? Would they have to stand in line to get into the courtroom too? I don't know. It'd be another side effect. That might suck. But if all your debt was basically wiped out because they couldn't process it through the court systems, That would be freaking sweet. So anyways, gotta go. In about a half hour from now, I've got the new server up at my job that I was working on for this website. So that's done finally. I'm gonna make it go live probably at midnight, which is a half hour from now. So you may not be able to access the website for anywhere from maybe minutes to 2 to 3 hours, depending on how long the changes take to propagate throughout the world and the internet. But that's why I chose midnight, so that, you know, the least amount of downtime. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this evening's news with Dr. Doom, and I will talk to y'all later. Take care.